You are listening to Writing on the Air. Our guest tonight is Mr. Brad Whittington. Welcome to the show, Brad. How are you?
I'm just Ducky.
Ducky. He's vertical and having a good time.
And rocking in the free world, in that order.
Dora had a great question.
Yes, I didn't answer Dora's question about where is the source of the idea for this assisted suicide vacation thing and writing a book. And what happened was I was brainstorming session with my son-in-law about movie ideas. I was going to write something. He was going to come up with the idea. I was going to write it. And he had this idea, and that didn't have any legs. And I had read this article about 5 years ago that Las Vegas is the #1 suicide destination in the country. So it doesn't have the most suicides. But if you're going to kill yourself and you decide, I'm going to go somewhere else to do it, Las Vegas is the #1 spot for that.
Right. And keep in mind for our listeners that this is humorous on the whole. It's kind of like that, not quite like Weekend at Bernie's, but you're talking, it's like you're being funny about something, like right. Weekend at Bernie's was being funny about death. Well, this is funny about another version of death. And
Weekend at Bernie's is basically corpse abuse. If you were going to put a name to it as far as a law, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, but the corpse abuse is not funny, but Weekend at Bernie's was funny.
Yes.
I saw this news story, and I filed it away because I thought, this is interesting. Who would book that? If you wanted to go somewhere to kill yourself, would you have a special agency that would book that vacation for you? And that's where the idea came. Speaking of just the tone, my whole idea of doing this particular novel is different from what I've done in other cases, and that is just to be kind of wacky, just to have some kind of wacky, fun, summer beach read kind of thing about something that's not necessarily that wacky at the foundation. So I'm writing, and I'm hoping, I get the right mix. And I actually had one of my former high school friends read it, and she said, this sounds a lot like Christopher Buckley, William F. Jr.'s son. Mm-hmm. He did Thank You for Smoking. Oh, right. And Little Green Men and several others. So I'd never read any of his stuff. I'd seen the movie, Thank You for Smoking. So I went and got a couple of his novels and read it, and I went, oh, you know what? This is very similar in tone. Now, it's not his. It has a lot of politics and a lot of high society, and it's very sophisticated, whereas this doesn't have any of that. But just from a feel, it was good, because if you're going to write a book proposal, you have to tell the agent or the editor what are comparable things. This book is like who? And the only thing I could think of was P.G. Wodehouse, and that's kind of a long ways back. So you want something a little more current.
Give us perspective. How long back?
Wodehouse.
Yeah.
His first Jeeves story was written in 1917.
Okay, really.
And the last one was written in 1974.
Okay.
He wrote 90 novels, about 60 years, 70 years.
Talking about one character named Burf, and I have to tell you, the name of this character is pretty interesting. I just, whenever I hear this, I kind of cringe to a certain extent because of the names. And I was thinking, did you kind of at one point think about Bart and why that character? And then, I don't know, just Burf.
Burf, it's too much like barf, is it?
Yeah, it is something of that nature. So,
well, actually, I knew a guy named Burf in Scottsdale, an interesting guy. He was about 90. I thought, that's a classic name. I'm going to have to use that one day. So that was like 10 years ago. So I finally found something to use it in.
Oh, he was about 90 years of age?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So an older fellow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming on, Brad.
Oh, shucks.